So Gina Faccio in paradise there in Bali.
In Bali. Javier, I'm gonna.
Dahil sa'yo hanggang mamatay, dapat mong tantuhin, wala nang ibang giliw. Puso ko'y tanungin, ikaw ay ikaw rin. Dahil sa'yo ako'y lumigaya, pagmamahal ay alayan ka. Kung tunay man ako, ay alipinin mo ang lahat na nito'y dahil sa'yo.
Bali. Javier, I'm gonna say something that might be controversial. I don't plan anything.
That's beautiful. You don't play, even in your businesses,
Even in my
your
business.
financial aspects.
I have an intention. I know exactly what I want to create every month, what I want to generate, and then I vibrate at that. That's all I have to do. I don't know how it's going to come. At the moment, Javier, I don't even have a website. Because it's another belief. If you believe you need a website to be successful, then that becomes your truth. I don't have a website and I've got a wait list. If we change our personality, we change our personal reality. Dr. Joe's is the only one who really empowers us to know that we can do it. We don't have to rely on anyone. How badly do you want to change?
So the nudge could be something that would seemingly have nothing to do with your sought outcome,
Absolutely.
correct?
Absolutely. It's our job to get out of our own way. If you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you've always gotten. Stop focusing on the car that you want, because it's not the car that you want. It's something deeper.
Anyone who gives you steps, basically, I've always seen that as a bit of charlatanism.
Well, what do you believe about yourself? You know, what are the emotions that run your day? Quantum requires you to let go of your body, let go of your identity, let go of what you know. It requires you to enter as pure vibration. I can give you all the tools, but if you're not willing to practice them, nothing's going to change.
Science is the language of the modern world, like religion was of the past. But you don't have to really believe anything, correct?
No, you don't have to believe anything. You have to believe in yourself. What we want in life is actually peace. What we want is freedom. What we want is love. And all of those feelings are available to us now. We suppress emotion for so long, which is what causes illness and pain and disease. And emotion only lasts something crazy like 90 seconds if you're truly present with it.
I made a video and it was sort of revealed to me, sort of in a meditation. Look at emotions like sort of like a deep tissue massage. Feel that tightness in your chest, turn it around and say, oh, I love this feeling. It feels like a massage. And
beautiful. I love that analogy.
The SP, where someone's in love with somebody, I'm not going to be happy unless I have this person. What does Joe Dispenza say about that?
Whoa, give me some
It's
space.
repelling.
Last week, Wednesday, I was signing up for Dr. Joe's 10-day retreat in Cancun. The site was buffering for so long because of how many people. I think there were 2,000 tickets available, and there must have been about 3,500 people trying to get those tickets. At that moment, I completely surrendered to what is. And I ended up getting a ticket.
And so you're going to Cancun.
Yeah, I'm going to Cancun in December.
And it's letting go and letting God. See, we harmonize there.
Yes, exactly.
If you want to share it with us, you might not, but have you had a mystical experience? Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Javier with The Real Javier Novoa. And today we have a very special guest. Gina Faccio is on. She is an expositor on the work of Joe Dispenza. She's a businesswoman, a coach, a corporate trainer, and she's a prolific YouTuber. There are very few channels on YouTube that I follow religiously, although I do consume a lot of content, but hers is one of the channels that I watch every single one of the videos. She's just a great presence on YouTube, and I'm proud to have Gina with us. Thank you so much, Gina, for sitting at this virtual table with us today.
Amazing. Thank you, Javier. And thank you for such kind words. I'm so grateful that my YouTube channel has impacted you.
You're joining us from Bali. What is your day job, so to speak, just so the audience can know? What is it that you do most of the time? I know you wear a lot of hats.
So at the moment, I am only coaching. My background is an entrepreneur, so I've had multiple businesses in different fields. But since moving to Bali, I'm just focusing on the neurochange coaching. So I coach specifically people who are trying to break out of their beliefs that are holding them back and the emotions that are holding them back and what's preventing them from stepping into the life that they want to create. And so my niche is very much in what is restricting you from creating what you want. And that's where I love to work.
You're basically living the dream that I basically talk about on my channel, which is living free. You can basically live wherever you want. You basically set your own hours, correct?
Correct. So I haven't always been in this place. I was very much tied down in South Africa. I'm from South Africa, and was very stuck in my situation. And all I wanted to do was travel and live abroad. And I didn't have the availability to do that because of my work situation. And so through doing Dr. Joe's work specifically, I have completely changed my life. And now I am location independent and I can work and live from wherever I want. And yeah, it's just a whole new life. And this is the power of doing the work.
You were in corporate or the corporate structure before? You were in a corporate sort of job?
No, so I've always been an entrepreneur. I consult to corporates. So I still do quite a lot of corporate work. So I travel to Qatar every 2 months and run corporate events there, corporate workshops there with one of the companies there. But besides that, I've sort of moved away from corporate and more into individual coaching.
Was this sort of like Joe Dispenza or this type of work, or was it just sort of like business and corporate organization?
No, so all my work, it's a great question. All my work is based around neuroscience. So a new way of moving forward. So even the coaching, the workshops that I run in Qatar, they, as much as they are based on 3D content, I always bring in the neuroscience aspects of it so that people can actually change. Because how do you teach people to change, or how do you teach people to be creative if they are living in an identity that says they're not? So my role and what I love is neuroscience. So anything that I do, I bring in neuroscience and the neuroscience background of changing the way you think, act, and feel, so that you can really change your life and change what you can create.
So, and I've been an entrepreneur and I've worked in corporate structures also, but I haven't seen on my end that a lot of higher ups in the corporate structures are interested in these sort of ideas or even exposed to them. But I think Joe Dispenza, for example, he did workshops for Coca-Cola and things like this. So there are people in the corporate structure who know about these ideas and are interested in them. When you worked with the corporate arena, how did you find your clientele? Was it their bosses who sent them, or was it individuals themselves who were interested in these ideas?
So I was fortunate enough to be in contact with another lady from South Africa who did all the connecting. She was incredibly good at networking, and she had an established corporate consulting company in South Africa. And she's actually one of Dr. Joe's neuro change solution coaches. And so she was bringing that into the corporates, and I was just fortunate enough to connect with her, and that's sort of how it unraveled. So it wasn't really on my part. It was more, I created the experience by doing the work, and she did the hard work, where I just arrived and was able to share my knowledge, which was great.
Sure, and I believe you've done videos about that in the past where you have the idea, you wanted to go into this, and you basically just embodied that state. And I know we want to talk about it later. We call it getting into state on our channel, but it basically all came to you, correct?
Yeah, everything. So when we do the work, especially Dr. Joe's philosophy is, if you want to change your life, you've got to change the way you think, act, and feel. And the way you think, act, and feel makes up your personality. And if we change our personality, we change our personal reality. And so my philosophy and how the way I've approached the work, and I've been studying personal mastery and human potential since I was 16 years old. So
wow, just a few years ago.
Just a few years ago, exactly. And I've studied so many different modalities, and Dr. Joe's is the only one who really empowers us to know that we can do it. We don't have to rely on anyone. You know, even my YouTube channel, I don't want people to rely on my content. I wanted to inspire them to do their own work, because we have all the resources inside, you know, so you don't need to go to anyone to help you. It's just a matter of how badly do you want to change? How badly do you not want to live the same life anymore? And if it's, you know, if your will is so strong and your intention is so strong, then you can achieve anything. So just through doing the work, we recognize that we don't play the same game of 3D to 3D, which means I have to go out and do it. We play the 5D game, which means I'm the antenna, I'm the radio signal. I'm going to embody that frequency, and I'm going to allow the vibrational match to come to me. And that doesn't mean I sit on the couch and I don't do anything. That means I embody the frequency, and then when I get nudges, I call them nudges, or if I get inspired actions to, oh, I should phone this person, or maybe I should go work at this coffee shop, I follow those nudges without thinking, because those are the breadcrumbs that the universe is dropping to help me get to wherever I'm desiring to be.
I love that modality, follow the nudges without thinking. A lot of teachers talk about the fact that you're not seeking the outcome. So the nudge could be something that would seemingly have nothing to do with your sought outcome,
Absolutely.
correct?
Absolutely. And it could be, you know, and it could almost not make sense, but you don't know the way the universe is working. So if I look at before I started corporate work and I was trying to create a new career, a new avenue, and I had this nudge to phone my colleague. Well, now she's my colleague, but then she was my friend, Debbie. And I didn't know why I was phoning her, but I phoned her to have coffee, and that's sort of how it unraveled. So we never know what it looks like, and we never know why we get the nudges. It's our job to get out of our own way, because when we're in our way, the universe can't work its magic.
And we have to step into the unknown. And I think that's one of the cruxes of Dr. Joe's teachings.
Yeah, you've got to do what you wouldn't normally do. You've got to get uncomfortable. You've got to put yourself in the unfamiliar, you know? And it's if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you've always gotten. So it's the case of going, okay, well, this is uncomfortable for me, but if I don't try something new, then I won't know. And what we do, and what I believe, is we're just increasing our capacity to hold more. So every time you try something new, you increase your capacity to hold more. So maybe what you can hold is a cup at the moment. So that's the amount of new experiences that you can hold, which is a cup, and new things in your life. And as you do more and more, maybe it expands into a bowl. Your capacity expands into a bowl, and then it expands into a bucket. And then and the more we can expand, the more resilient we get. And the more resilient we get, the more we can create. And then we don't overthink things. It's a case of, this is fun. This is exciting, because you know the universe has always got your back. There's always a safety net. If we truly believed that there was a safety net, we would just try things and have fun and test things out and play. I think the big thing with this work is we forget to play.
It's all a game.
Yeah,
we touch on that also on our channel. But just the final aspect, because I'm interested in you and how you sort of came to this. So when you were 16, what was the first material that you looked into as far as this sort of spiritual work, or was it self-help or personal growth?
So I think whenever someone comes to the work, they come to the work to help them because of whatever experience that they're going through. And the experience that I went through, my brother passed away in a car accident when I was 40.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. But it's okay, because it's led me down this chapter, and that's what we have to see the beauty of. We don't know why things happen. So at 14, he passed away, and then obviously naturally you go through the grieving process. And I felt incredibly alone and incredibly isolated because everyone in my family was grieving. And so I started looking into new modalities, or what can I do? And at that stage, the law of attraction had just been released in the form of The Secret.
Sure.
And so I watched The Secret over and over. And I remember Dr. Joe was on The Secret, but he didn't stand out to me because at that stage, I was very much focused on getting something, not on changing. And that's the difference. Like we want to get something in our life, but we're not willing to change. And those things come hand in hand. So when I was trying to get the new business or get this and get this, it's always very much the outside wanting to make me feel better on the inside. And I spent a large portion of my life studying human behavior and, law of attraction and all of that, but never recognizing that I have to change. Like, stop focusing on the car that you want, because it's not the car that you want. It's something deeper. Like, focus on the emotion that the car is going to give you, and then change yourself so that you can practice that emotion every day. If you're not practicing that emotion every day and you're practicing more guilt and anger, that's where the gap is. So I came to the work to get things, which is what a lot of people do. And I wanted to create a life and manifest this, and, and it's all very egocentric. And especially in the last year, my work has really dropped me into my heart space of, can I just come from love? And that's one of my intentions in my YouTube videos, is just to emanate love. Like, can we just take away the pressure to create this life and actually come home to ourselves and be comfortable with who we are and love who we are? And that's the element of, how can we change ourselves? Because we're all wanting the same thing. We all want to be loved for who we are. We all want to be seen for who we are. We think we want everything on the outside, but it's actually the fundamentals of that. And when you love yourself and you see yourself and you hold space for yourself, then you're safe in the world. And when you feel safe in the world, then the world becomes fun. Then it becomes fun because there's nothing to fear. But that can't happen because you have the car or you have the job. That happens because you change inside and you become someone else. And when you become someone else, which is maybe someone who's more in alignment with source, which is source energy and pure love and possibility, then everything changes. So I came to the work to get stuff, to take away my depression, to take away my anxiety, but not recognizing that I have to fundamentally change the way I act, think, and feel for that to happen. And so when I started to shift that, then everything changed.
And that's how like you said, a lot of people get into it, trying to get things. I guess that's a good lure. That's a good sort of hook to then get us to realize that we have to become it ourselves. And so just curious, you never worked for someone. You've always been an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I've
That's
never
an
had
amazing thing. A lot of us aspire to that, but that's amazing. So when did you start sort of on, and I want to go back and talk about all these ideas just after wrapping up your personal journey. When did you actually start working in this field to where you could actually make an income?
So I, through my various businesses, I've directly and indirectly coached for a long time, because I've been in the service industry space. But it wasn't until 2 years ago, I would say, that I've really allowed myself to get into the coaching space. And my YouTube channel's only been going for about 1.5 years.
About as long as mine.
Oh, amazing. And only actually consistently in the last year, because I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out, as we always are. And it's only been in the last year, since last year, July, where I've really been determined to share content and inspire people, because you don't have to live the same life. And a lot of people ask, how? And that's where I'm inspired to share. Like, I want to be able to share with people how I've done it. And there's not a 3D action of how I've done it. These are the steps. It's, I've changed who I am. So what do you need to change, And really helping people have a bit more self-inquiry into how are they showing up every day, and does it serve them? Does it come from love?
The approach to this is anyone who gives you steps, basically, I've always seen that as a bit of charlatanism. This is really more of a, like you said, an inquiry, correct? Where we have to go within and say, okay, like you said, we're not, in Joe Dispenza's work, we're not relying on anyone else. So I can't say, oh, Gina, show me how to make $1 million next year. But you can definitely help me get myself out of my way.
Absolutely. And I get that question a lot, you know, because I've healed myself before and people ask, what meditation did you do? And that's this hope that one meditation is going to change them. You know, that's the lucky meditation. And it's absolutely not the case. It's the case of, well, what do you believe about yourself? You know, what are the emotions that run your day? So exactly what you're saying, the $1 million is available to everyone. But if you're not bringing it into your life, what are the beliefs and emotions that are preventing it from coming in? So maybe you don't think you're worthy, and maybe you don't think that it's possible for you. Maybe you don't trust in the universe. Maybe you don't believe in yourself. Maybe you don't think you're smart enough. Those are the beliefs that are blocking you from getting there, because everything is attainable, especially in the quantum. Everything, there's a version of you with the $1 million right now. And if you're not living that version, why? What are the beliefs that are preventing you from living that version? And that's where my work is.
It seems like the whole aspect of this, like you said, it's not going to be one meditation. And maybe for many people, there is not even a formal meditation, but somehow they attain that state. What's basically the quickest way to drop into the state of the quantum? How do we get in? Because once you get into the quantum, as Joe Dispenza says, that's all possibility.
So I use Dr. Joe's meditations to drop into that space. I also just want to highlight the quantum is not a space that you go there, now you're always there. Like you don't drop into the quantum and now the whole meditation you'll be in the quantum. Because the quantum requires you to let go of your body, let go of your identity, let go of what you know. It requires you to enter as pure vibration, to allow yourself to let go of everything, to trust yourself enough to enter that quantum and let go of what you know. That requires work. And sometimes you'll be in there for 5 seconds and then you'll get booted out because your mind starts thinking again. So it's not a place you go to and you stay. It's a place you aspire to and you work towards. And the more you do the work and the more familiar you get and the more you trust yourself and the more you trust, you know, the divine, the stronger your connection to the quantum is. But for me, when I do it, and I mean, I've been doing this work for a while, for me, it's just about completely opening up my awareness to nothing, opening up my awareness where I'm not focused on my body. I'm not focused on space. I'm just opening up to pure possibility. And that hasn't always been the case, because what is pure possibility? But that's where I've got to in my practice. So when I started, it might have been like just feeling comfortable with myself. You know, we've got to remember, like, you don't get from the ground floor to the first floor by jumping. You take the stairs. So it's one step at a time. So where I am on my journey might be slightly higher in terms of connecting to the quantum than someone else. But that doesn't mean you've got to follow my process. You've got to follow your own process. So just like we all have fingerprints that are completely unique to us, our journey is completely unique to us. There's no one that can tell you what to do on your journey. And if someone does tell you they know what to do, then they're acting from their blueprint. And you have to remember that everyone's blueprint is unique. So you can be inspired by their blueprint, but fundamentally, you've got to create your own change because your journey is different. And so there's not a one-size-fits-all approach. And that's where I think people get caught up, because we've been brought up in a society to say, you will solve my problem, you know? So we've outsourced our power. And so even in my coaching, people come and they're like, can you help me? No, I can't help you. You can help you. I can help you remove what's preventing you from getting to where you want to be. But at the end of the day, your change is your responsibility, because I'm not responsible for, and I can't. I can give you all the tools, but if you're not willing to practice them, nothing's going to change. So when we take back our power, instead of even giving it to what we want to create. When we take back our power and we realize we can do this, then we start to work out our own blueprint. And that's called empowerment, because I'm empowered in myself. I don't need anyone. And that's true safety. That's true alignment, when you are so okay with yourself that you don't need anyone else to help you. You can be inspired by people. You can watch people's content. You might even go to doctors and hear what they have to say. And also, if you've got a serious health condition, you know, see the doctors. Like Dr. Joe says, go to the healthcare professionals, but then do the work as well.
Someone who maybe has just read a little of Joe Dispenza, or someone who's not familiar with the modality. So what is the work? And can I do it? Do I have to go to a Joe Dispenza seminar, or do I have to listen to your videos? What can I start doing at home to actually start doing the work of changing myself? What's something that everyone can take and use?
So doing the work is, how well do you know yourself? How aware are you of the way you think, act, and feel? How aware of you are you of the energy that you're putting out into the world? Because the energy you put out is what you get back. Dr. Joe Dispenza's work is beautiful because it brings in the science, and people are skeptical, and so they need the science to believe that it's possible. The law of attraction per se is a bit woo-woo for some people because it doesn't make sense. Dr. Joe brings in the science of, you know, what is actually happening for you to use the law of attraction. He
brings in like hard science and peer-reviewed studies, all kinds of things. You just go to his website. It's really incredible. And like you said, science is the language of the modern world, like religion was of the past. Absolutely. But go on, So it's purely science-based. You don't have to really believe anything, correct?
No, you don't have to believe anything. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe it's possible. So there is a level of belief, but for me, it's like, you know, if you want to cook a chicken curry and you've never cooked a chicken curry, what are you going to do? You might look at recipes. If you don't even know what a chicken curry is, and I said, please cook a chicken curry, you're going to have to go to a recipe to figure out what a chicken curry, first of all, is and how to cook it. And doing the work is no different. So when people say, oh, this doesn't work, well, how much have you tried? You know, how much of the work do you know? How much do you actually practice? And just yesterday, I was talking to a woman and she said, oh, she did Dr. Joe's work. It doesn't work. Well, because you haven't changed. You're still the same. That's why it hasn't worked, you know? And it doesn't work for the people who don't change. It's science. It will not work for you if you don't change, but it will work for you if you do. So going back to the chicken curry analogy, if you don't even know what a chicken curry is and you've never cooked before, you've got to learn a little bit. You've got to gather new information. Like Einstein said, you can't solve a problem from the same level of mind that created it. Don't expect you to change your life from your current state of awareness, because your current state of awareness has created the life that you have. So if you really want to change, you have to gather new knowledge, and you gather new knowledge by learning other people's modalities. And learning Dr. Joe's work will inspire you with new information. And if you don't have new information, then you can't change. So it's, how do you change? Start learning. There's information available everywhere. Start just following the nudges, the breadcrumbs. What YouTube content are you drawn to? And this isn't a case of like, because I believe in Dr. Joe, you have to believe in Dr. Joe. No, there's going to be other teachers that resonate with other people. And that's perfectly okay. Because the people that you need for the part of your journey you're on, you'll attract. And you'll attract the right. Say that again, sorry?
That's classic law of attraction.
Yes.
Of course, the people you need you.
You'll attract what you need. And maybe Dr. Joe is not what you need right now. Maybe you need something else. So, you know, it doesn't have to be a one size fits all. It's a case of what content is going to inspire you to create a shift in your life, and follow that content.
And it's like we keep going back to, it's all about the change in yourself. And I interviewed Genevieve Davis, who's the author of the Magic books. And she's talking about the fact that that's what basically magic is, realizing that you're not trying to affect an outcome, rather you're becoming the magic. And this, when you become the magic, that the outcome actually follows from that.
That's beautiful. I heard a description for magic, as if you use magic as an acronym, that says me and God in conversation.
That is very beautiful.
Yeah. And it's
And
like, that is the magic. When you truly, let go of all of the limiting beliefs and the emotions that normally run our lives, the stress. Like, I live a pretty comfortable, stress-free life. And people would think that's not possible, but it really is. Like, it really is, because of how specific I am with my energy, what I put my energy into. And I don't feed the drama because I don't want the drama. So when you allow yourself to really step into a different energy, life becomes magical. And synchronicities happen effortlessly. And you can literally be in awe of this life that you create. Because, going back to that acronym, for me, it's like, instead of me and God in conversation, it's me and God in co-creation. Like, you co-create your life, but you have to show up for it. No one's coming to save you. I don't know if you've heard of, there's that, it's like a fable almost, where the guy is sitting on the top of his roof because there's a flood, and he keeps praying to God and says, God, please save me.
Oh,
and then
yes.
a boat comes past and says, jump in. And he says, no, 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 God's going to save me. And then the boat goes off. And then the helicopter comes and drops a line and says, hold on. And he says, no, 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 God's going to save me. And eventually, when the water rises and he passes away, and he gets to the other side and he says to God, why didn't you save me? God's like, I sent a boat, I sent a helicopter. So God comes in people, experiences, situations. And so those are the nudges. Those are the inspired nudges that we get. God comes through those. So follow those, follow the breadcrumbs. God is dropping the breadcrumbs. And when we truly believe that, then life becomes magical.
It does. It's like, I don't know if you've studied the works of Neville Goddard or any of that modality.
I've touched on his work, but not extensively.
But he talks about the fact that it's basically the same modality, and it's basically getting into state of your desire, becoming that, embodying that. And he says that anytime someone receives their desire, like Joe Dispenza says, it comes from where you don't expect, so it's divine. But
yes,
if you trace it back, there's a perfectly logical explanation for why it happened. And so I think that you touched on the major dichotomy here in all of these processes. And what people have such a hard time wrapping their mind around is right brain, left brain. And what's the modality between taking action and allowing and receiving? And also, I think the first aspect of that, I think there are two modalities in this. You said you live a stress-free life. One of them is actually going after something by embodying it, right? Let's say I want $1 million, so I change myself to the person who gets $1 million. There's another modality of just being completely in the present moment, mindful, and not even articulating a desire, and just knowing that those desires automatically come. Do you have anything to say about those two modalities? Like, is there something to be said for just living life completely present and not trying to create anything, just receiving?
So I don't know if you've studied any of Michael Singer's work.
Yes, in fact, you made a video on that.
Yeah, and he literally went into the woods to live a very quiet life, and all he wanted to do was meditate and connect to the divine, and he ended up creating a $3.5 billion company. So what we want in life is actually peace. What we want is freedom. What we want is love, and all of those feelings are available to us now. So we think we want the car and the relationship and the traveling, but actually what we want is what we think those things are going to give us, the feelings that those things are going to give us. And so I sometimes think we limit ourselves by what we're actually capable of creating when we hold on too tightly to what it should look like. Because the universe has this expansive canvas, and our canvas is this big. And we're only creating on here instead of actually letting go and letting the universe create. Because what if what we want for ourselves is limited to in comparison to what our soul's journey is? Then we're not going to hold on so tightly to we think we want. We're going to let go and just get into a space of love and get into a space of expansion and get into a space of acceptance of what is. And so just to touch on, I say I live a stress-free life. That doesn't mean I don't get triggered. That doesn't mean I don't have experiences in my day where I am triggered in a sort of emotion. Absolutely, that happens. I'm a human. But I don't dwell there. As soon as I feel the emotion, I ask the question, how's this happening for me? What is this trying to teach me? Or what emotion do I need to let go of that no longer serves me? So in that moment, I am dissolving it immediately. And Michael Singer talks about that, of letting emotion go. Like, we suppress emotion for so long, which is what causes illness and pain and disease. When emotion wants to come up, instead of holding on to it or resisting it, because that's one of the things we do, we don't want to feel it, can you be courageous enough to just let it move through you? And emotion only lasts something crazy like 90 seconds if you're truly present with it. So can you soften your body? Because the first thing we do is tense. Can you soften your body and just say, I'm present with this anger? Okay, there's anger. Cool. The anger's there. And it's there. And it's there. And don't go into detective mode of, where is it coming from? Why do I feel this way? Because that's going into the logical mind. We don't know where it's from. We don't know why it's there. But can you open your heart and let it move through you? And the analogy I've been given recently is like bubbles. Bubbles that are floating up. The emotion's going to float up. Don't try to hold on to the bubble, because you're dispersing it. Every time you catch a bubble, you're breaking it up into small little pieces, which is much harder then to release. But just watch it move through you. Just watch it.
Just allow it.
Yeah, just allow it and empty yourself of that emotion.
Last year I made a video, and it was sort of revealed to me, sort of in a meditation, that, and people have had other podcasts where they talked about this idea. This wasn't mine. It was basically revealed to me. But look at emotions like sort of like a deep tissue massage. Like, if you're being massaged, and sometimes it even hurts a little bit, but you don't get angry at the masseuse, it's healthy for you. Look at emotions like that. You feel that tightness in your chest, turn it around and say, oh, I love this feeling. It feels like a massage. And that's worked a lot for me. It's worked for other people. It's an interesting way to have that move through you.
Exactly. Beautiful. I love that analogy, because like you say, with a masseuse, you would just, you would let them work their magic. For me, I always connect to the pain if I feel pain in my body, and I connect to that pain and think to myself, how much emotion must be stored there for me to feel that amount of pain? And then I bring a lot of compassion to myself, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I didn't feel safe enough to feel that emotion before. So can I just be with it? Can I allow space for it to move through me? And it's sort of like your analogy of the masseuse. Just don't think about it. Just let it go, let it go, and empty yourself. Michael Singer talks about this. Empty yourself of all the emotions so that there's nothing left to be revealed. And that's when we live in the present moment. That's what we all want. That's when we live in love and peace. And that's actually what we want. So it's not the car or the house or the $1 million that's going to give you what you think you want. It's actually an emptying what's already in you. I had a short video that I posted, and it's not in the becoming sometimes, even though I talk about that a lot. It's a lot in the unbecoming what you've learned, so that you can go back to source, go back to the essence of who you are.
It's what Joe Dispenza says, what's on the other side of that emotion. And it's beautiful when that reveals itself. So just getting a little bit into the nitty gritty, because our subscribers go want to know. And I know that one size doesn't fit all. Necessarily what works for you isn't going to work for everybody. But we'd like to sort of know more about your technique. There's an amazing video I watched from you. And I remember you were talking about that I believe you wanted to do a training in Qatar, but it was only within a certain amount of days, and you already had those days booked up. Can you tell us just a little bit about how that happened? And you said that you basically harmonized with the reality in the quantum where you had those days freed up. So can you tell us a little more about how you did it actually? Was it through meditation? If you want to dilate.
Just to give your subscribers context, I had been asked to come back to Qatar in May, just this May. And the dates that I'd originally seen them ask me to come back to were, I had already booked out. I was on a retreat and then I had a wedding. And the days I had available were 5 days in May. And so I either had to choose the retreat or I had to choose Qatar. And that was the possibility. But then Dr. Joe talks about that there's infinite possibilities and there's a possibility for everything. So I just tuned into the fact that there's a possibility where I can do both, where I can go on retreat and I can be in Qatar. There has to be a possibility in the quantum where that exists, because if you can think it, it exists. The work then is to believe that it's possible. And so because I have been doing this work for so long, something like creating, this possibility, I really went all in going, it has to be possible. And so I didn't actually do much work around it. I just believed it. And a lot of the time, the work, so the meditations, is to get you to a point where you believe it. So with this process, I believed that it was possible, and I completely surrendered, and I boarded my flight to go back home. And when I landed, the organizer had sent me the new dates, and they were exactly in that 5-day period. That was only possible because I believed it. And like Dr. Joe says, when you've tuned into the reality and you believe that it's possible, then when it does happen, you're not even surprised by it because you already knew it was going to happen. That's how much you have to believe. You believe so much that when it actually does happen, it's like, oh, of course it was going to happen.
But what will surprise you is the way it happens, correct?
The way that it happens, absolutely. and there is an element of, oh my gosh, like, yes, I aligned with the universe. It proves to us how powerful doing this work is, which is, it inspires you to keep going. And what else can I create? And what else can I create? But the key is you have to believe. And if you don't believe, that's where the meditations come in, or that's your work. Your work is to get to a point that you believe, because if you believe it's possible, then it will happen. But if there's a part of you that doesn't believe, then it's not going to happen. So I can tune into that reality where it's happening, but then come out of it and go, but it will never happen. I mean, how's it going to happen? And it's that stops it from happening. Whereas if you say, it's going to happen, show me how, and you trust that it's going to happen, then things change. But it's the believe in. If you don't believe, all of this work is to believe that it's possible.
And it gets to a point where you can basically just do that through interior dialogue, correct? Oh, you don't even have to close your eyes. Oh, there's this possibility, and it's happened.
Yeah. So that's what I practice now. I talk about micro practices in my work.
Yes.
Where instead of spending like an hour in a meditation, I have an alarm every 2 hours where I'm tuning into that reality in small doses. And it's building up that muscle that I don't have to rely on meditations. I can live it. Because people go into meditation and they do the work, but then they come out and then they go back to their old life. So I bring micro practices in to bring that meditation energy into small moments throughout the day.
Make it real. And sort of like Neville Goddard said, that it's not intensity, it's frequency. Like, for example, let's say I won $1 million. I can do a meditation and really feel that. And if I do it long enough, really believe it to where I'm like, yes. But then I can get out of it and see my power bill and get out of that. So it's just airtime.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah.
Just drilling a little bit more deeply into this. Is it not good to want something so specific? Because we said, like we were saying with the Michael Singer aspect, that we sort of deceive ourselves. But like this whole aspect of the specific person, I'm sure you're aware of this, the SP, where someone's in love with somebody, I'm not going to be happy unless I have this person. What does Joe Dispenza say about that? Can we indeed create even if this person doesn't like us now, can we create a reality in which that person is with us? Or would we be better served to just say, I don't necessarily need this person, it could be any person?
So when we desire something so much, when the stakes are high, meaning if I don't get this, I'm not going to survive, like it's like desperation. The universe feels desperation. It's like we've all had that desperate friend that's like, can I see you today? Can I see you today? Like, it's like, whoa, give me some
It's
space.
repelling.
Yeah. We repel the universe as well when we're desperate. And so when we want someone specific to fall in love with us, it's like we think they're going to take away the pain that we feel inside.
Absolutely.
It's not about them. It's about what we think they're going to give us. And if we look deeper into that, maybe it's because they're amazing and you think that that's going to make you feel good enough or feel worthy or feel loved. But if you felt that on your own, you wouldn't be holding so specifically onto that person. So can we create a specific person? You know, I'm sure everything is possible in the quantum. There's a possibility for everything. But my work is more in creating what's of highest value for your soul. And what you think is of highest value and what actually is of highest value might be two different things. So when we trust in the journey and we say, you know, we want a partner who's going to help us grow, and we want a partner who's going to love this about me and love this about me, and I want to be able to travel with them. We can absolutely have those sort of specifics. But then can we rather open up to the magic of the universe, where the universe brings us that partner in a way that we least expect it? Because, you know, rejection is, when we get rejected, it's, what if it's just the universe detouring us in the right direction? Like,
it always is.
It always is. But when we hold on so tightly to something, we're missing out on all the other possibilities of what could be. So for me, it's a case of you can create exactly what you want, but ask yourself, why do you want it? What do you think it's going to give you? And then that's where your work is in healing it. It's never about the other person. It's never about what you want to create on the outside. It's all about what it's going to make you feel on the inside. And if you generate that feeling from within, you won't need it so much on the outside. And then the universe wants to give it to you. When you don't need it so bad, like last week, Wednesday, I was signing up for Dr. Joe's 10-day retreat in Cancun.
Oh, wow.
And if anyone has registered for his retreat before, it's not so hectic like in the last few, I'd say in the last year, but before that, the tickets used to sell out within like 5 minutes. And last week, Wednesday, the site was buffering for so long because of how many people. I think there were 2,000 tickets available, and there must have been about 3,500 people trying to get those tickets. And so when I got on to the site and I started filling out my forms, between each form, it would buffer for about 4 or 5 minutes, but they only gave you 15 minutes to check out. So by the time I got to the payment page and I put my credit card details in and I clicked pay, it kept rejecting the credit card because obviously the site was overloaded, and then my time expired. And it kicked me out and it put me into a waiting queue, which showed how many people were buying the tickets, what was available, and what number in the queue I was. And in that moment, I completely surrendered to what is and trusted that if I'm not meant to go, it's like I got to a point where I was completely okay with going and completely okay with not going. And that's where the universe wants you. The universe wants you where you're not resisting or holding on to anything. You're okay no matter what the outcome. And that's truly power. When you're okay no matter what happens, then you completely trust in the journey the universe is taking you on, not in the journey you think you should go on.
And that's basically completely surrendering.
Yeah, and then I ended up getting a ticket.
Oh, you got a ticket. Very nice, yeah. And
Because,
so you're going to Cancun.
Yeah, I'm going to Cancun in December. But it's because so many people didn't get a ticket, and it's, can you let go of the outcome? You know, I don't need Cancun to do anything for me. Cancun is not going to change me. I'm going to change me. But I want to go to Cancun to be in that energy. So it's more out of desire. When we desire more and need less, magic happens. But most of us come from a space of, I need this. And that's where we get stuck. Because neediness is that desperation with the universe, and the universe can't create when you're so needy, because you're so rigid in what you think you want.
And you're like already in a state of not getting what you want. So the universe says, okay, then you're not getting it.
Exactly. Exactly. Gives you more of what you're feeling.
Is it really all about talking yourself out of resisting it? Sort of talking yourself into knowing that it's here now, emotionally, psychologically.
So I would say it's not about talking yourself out of it. It's about just accepting what is. Can I be okay with whatever comes? Because if we truly, truly believed that the universe had our best interest at heart, would we doubt it?
Absolutely not.
No. So why do we doubt? You know, and that's where the work is. Can you truly, truly believe that you're being supported? Can you truly, truly believe that the universe wants you to be the most magical version of yourself? If we really believed that, we would let go.
And it's letting go and letting God. And just one more question in this sort of avenue, because again, a lot of subscribers, a lot of people who have coached with me or had coaching with me have a lot of questions about planning. So we're to accept nudges from the universe and take action on those nudges. Let's say in business, I want to make such and such amount of sales. I have to make a plan for that. So where does planning come into this? Do we plan at all? Or do we sort of have a plan where we say, okay, this is just a blueprint, but I can deviate from it at any time? Where does planning come in this very right-brained aspect of Joe Dispenza's methodology?
Javier, I'm going to say something that might be controversial. I don't plan anything.
That's beautiful. You don't plan, even in your businesses.
Even in my business.
Financial aspects. I
have an intention. I know exactly what I want to create every month, what I want to generate, and then I vibrate at that. That's all I have to do. I don't know how it's going to come. I don't know, I might have inspired actions to run a masterclass or like have a mastermind. Like that happens, absolutely. But I didn't plan for that. I didn't plan to try get my outcome. There's a difference between I need to plan in 3D to get the outcome, as opposed to I'm going to vibrate at the frequency of what I want, and then I'm going to get nudges along the way of what I should do. Because if you're planning, you're controlling. That's my belief.
That is amazing.
So I don't plan anything. I wait until I'm inspired. I wait until I get the nudge. I say, universe, I want to make this amount of money. Show me how. And then I wait. And then I might get a nudge to do this. Or I might get a nudge to post this video. And I might sign 2 clients up from that video. I didn't plan to sign the 2 clients up. I planned to make a certain amount of money. And the universe told me what to post. It's really trust and belief.
That's an extreme level of trust and belief, which is what we're all aiming at. I'm sort of the same way as well. I do plan a little bit, but that's where I'm going to, where I don't plan anything, everything's spontaneous, because I trust in the universe, which is myself at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's the lie that we've been told that the future is dangerous. That's why we plan.
That's a great statement. And of course, the future is not dangerous.
Yeah. If the future wasn't dangerous, then why would you plan? You would just be present with what is.
Exactly. That is beautiful. So the whole aspect of procrastination then goes out the window, does it not? Because Abraham Hicks said procrastination is having the sense to know when you're not aligned to do something.
Yeah. So procrastination for me is if I'm procrastinating on something, I then turn it around and go, what am I fearing? So I'm always looking at what is it trying to show me about myself? Because if it's in alignment for me, let's just say, you know, you want to create an online course and I'm procrastinating on it. It's not the course, because we often look at, oh, maybe I must plan the content of the course better. That's why I'm procrastinating. There's something deeper. And my work is with myself is to turn it around and go, what is preventing me from going all in on this? And it might be, oh, I'm scared. Okay, what am I scared of? I'm scared that it won't work. I'm scared that people won't like my content. I'm scared that there's going to be a million things. That's what I have to overcome. When you overcome what's triggering the procrastination goes away.
Because you're just driven by that pure passion and love.
Yes. The procrastination is feedback that you've got more work to do.
And it's all about self-inquiry, basically.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's lots of people, you know, that are in that 3D mindset of, even when the procrastination's there, push anyway. And it's like very...
Like the Goggins aspect, right?
Yes. I was
Go
thinking
into
of...
the pain and
I was thinking of
fan.
him exactly.
Really? There
Exactly.
See, we harmonized there.
Yes, exactly. He was my example in my head, but I didn't want to, you know, bring him up. But it works. It does work. But it's that push, and that's what leads to burnout. People can't maintain that forever.
It's hard on the system.
It's hard on the system. Your nervous system goes into fight or flight immediately because you don't feel safe and you're going against what how your body feels. So what I focus more on is, I want to feel safe every day. I want to feel comfortable every day. I want to love myself every day. And I want to generate massive amounts of wealth and create the life that I want. I can do both. But I'd rather do it from a place where I feel safe than from a place where I'm pushing and I'm like, I have to do it this way. I mean, at the moment, Javier, I don't even have a website. Because it's another belief. If you believe you need a website to be successful, then that becomes your truth.
And success is flowing to you without that.
I don't have a website and I've got a wait list.
And I'm guessing you don't do very much marketing, correct?
I don't do any marketing. I post one YouTube video a week.
You know, you're the first guest or person I've spoken to who's basically, and I've spoken to like billionaires, I've spoken to coaches, teachers. You're the first person who says, I don't plan. And that's really going, like taking this modality and going all in. I love that. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so I plan in terms of like, I need to go to Qatar next week. So I need to know that I need to review certain things. Like I plan that stuff, but I don't plan how my life is going to look. Because I want to be in the mystical. I want to have these crazy synchronicities where I'm like, how did that even happen? That's what I want. I'm almost more about magic and mystical experiences than trying to hold on to something.
And that's living from trust. And just one last question here. If you want to share it with us, you might not, but have you had a mystical experience doing this work or any of these meditations?
It's such an interesting question because people put the idea of a mystical experience on a pedestal.
For sure.
Oh, have you had a mystical experience? And I've had many mystical experiences. I haven't seen the blue beans, no. You know, Dr. Joe talks about the blue beans, or people in the healings talk about the blue beans. Have I seen them? No. But have I had mystical experiences that are crazy, that in my meditations I'm taken aback? Absolutely. But it's, you know, what's mystical for me might not be mystical for someone else. Mystical just means it's unusual. You don't know how it happened. It came from the unknown. You know, me co-creating the exact dates for Qatar, that's a mystical experience.
That's a mystical experience. Absolutely.
So when we take a mystical experience off of the pedestal of it having, you know, it's something that we can never reach, and it's something that involves being in other worlds, then we allow ourselves to see the mystical experiences that are all around us every day. It might be the fact that you're, you know, really wanting to create something and you meet someone through someone to someone, and then eventually it happens. That's a mystical experience. We mustn't, in my mind, limit what the mystic is. The mystic is the universe working in crazy ways. That's for me all it is. You don't need to see spirits and see angels for it to be mystical. You have to just allow yourself to be guided by something greater and let the universe show you things or bring you things that from your capabilities seemed impossible. That's what the mystical experience is for me.
And living from trust is a very mystical experience in itself. So Gina Faccio in paradise there in Bali. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an amazing conversation, and I hope we can talk again sometime soon.
Beautiful, Javier. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for your beautiful questions.